It came, it went, and most of you probably forgot it even existed. But here's the question that really matters. Did we sleep on one of the most quietly brutal films of the last few years? Because The Forgiven, that 2021 film with Ralph Fiennes and Jessica Chastain, might just be the most uncomfortable mirror we're still refusing to look into. Now let's rewind for a second. This isn't a flashy new release. It dropped in 2021, right in the middle of the post-pandemic haze when movies either exploded or evaporated. The Forgiven mostly did the latter. Quiet release, lukewarm buzz, gone before you blinked. But that's exactly why we're talking about it now. Because a few years later, in this era of cultural reckoning and re-examining what stories really matter, this one feels weirdly, disturbingly relevant. So what's it about? At first glance, the setup is simple. A British couple, David and Joe, are driving through the Moroccan desert en route to a luxurious weekend party hosted by wealthy expats. It's all linen shirts, infinity pools, political cynicism masked as charm. But on the road at night, something happens. They hit and kill a young Moroccan boy. Just like that. A human life lost in the dark, and they just keep driving. When they arrive at the villa, things get tense. The boy's father shows up. He's calm, poised, but he insists David come with him to the village for the funeral. From there, the film splits. David is pulled away into a harsh, quiet landscape, surrounded by people whose lives his actions have forever altered. Meanwhile, Joe stays at the party, slipping into wine, flirtations, and meaningless conversations. And that contrast, it's not just narrative, it's psychological warfare. Ralph Fiennes as David is unsettling. He's not your typical villain. He's worse. A man who's educated enough to know better and broken enough to no longer care. His guilt drips out slowly, almost reluctantly. Jessica Chastain's Joe is more enigmatic. Is she grieving, escaping, surviving in her own way? You can never quite tell, and maybe that's the point. She's drifting, numbed by the privileges her wealth affords her. Then there's the boy's father, played with quiet, crushing dignity by Ismail Kennater. He doesn't need to shout. His silence does more damage than a monologue ever could. He's not looking for revenge. He's looking for recognition. Recognition that his son's life mattered, even if the people who ended it barely flinched. What The Forgiven does so brilliantly is refuse to give you clean answers. Was David justified? Was it an accident? Should guilt have an expiration date? It sits you down in a chair, leans in close, and whispers, "What would you have done?" And what's wild is that this isn't even about the plot. The movie's real target is privilege. It's about people, rich, bored, entitled, who use money and wit to shield themselves from the consequences of their actions. It's about the way guilt is commodified, repurposed, turned into something to be managed, like hangovers or PR crises. And it asks something bold. If you've built your life on taking land, culture, lives, do you deserve forgiveness just for showing up? Now listen, this movie is slow. It simmers. You don't watch it, you endure it. But that's why it works. It's a slow descent into self-awareness, and not the feel-good Instagram kind, the painful, ugly kind, the kind you have to earn. So is The Forgiven still good? Absolutely. In fact, it might be better now than it was in 2021. Because time has only sharpened its edges. What felt like a dry desert parable 3 years ago now plays like a morality test with no cheat sheet. It's not just a story, it's a mirror. And depending on who you are, what you've done, what you've ignored, it might not reflect something pretty, but maybe, just maybe, that's exactly why it's worth watching. And if you made it this far, you're probably the kind of viewer who'll get it. This has been your cinematic wake-up call. This has been your cinematic wake-up call. See you in the next one.